At the beginning of the story, we see an American football match. A man named Nicky is sitting comfortably in the VIP stands with his girlfriend Jazz. The match is going on, but Nicky is more interested in the crowd than the game. He notices a beautiful girl standing up and leaving her seat. At that moment, a mischievous idea comes to his mind. Nicky makes a small bet with Jazz, saying they should see how many people turn around to look at that girl. A man sitting nearby, named Luian, says he also wants to join the bet, and Nicky agrees. Everyone jokingly places a $10 bet and starts counting. When the girl leaves the stand, the final count shows that 7 people turned around. Jazz had guessed the closest number, so she wins the bet. Luian hands over the money without hesitation and asks to start another round. This time, the bet is about who will commit the next foul. Jazz steps out, saying she knows nothing about the game. Nicky jumps into the bet and places $1,000. As soon as the whistle blows, the referee signals a foul. The team Nicky bet on turns out to be correct, and he wins the money. He casually puts the cash into his pocket. Even after losing, Luian becomes more excited and suggests a bigger bet of $5,000. This time, the question is whether the player will pass the ball or run with it. Nicky hesitates for a moment, but eventually agrees. Luian predicts the player will run, while Nicky says he will pass. When the whistle blows, the player runs with the ball. Nicky loses $5,000. Nicky decides it is enough and says they should stop. He tells Jazz they should go get some coffee. Luian insists and mocks him, saying that $5,000 should mean nothing to someone sitting in the VIP lounge. He pushes for one more bet, this time for $10,000. After some hesitation, Nicky agrees again. Now the question is whether the player will complete the next pass successfully. Nicky predicts that the pass will be completed. However, the opposing team intercepts the ball midway. Nicky now finds himself down $15,000. As he takes out the money, Nicky becomes visibly upset. After thinking for a moment, he suggests a smaller bet of $500. Jazz is shocked, but Nicky looks angry and frustrated. Luck does not favor him, and he loses that bet as well. He hands over another $500. Jazz asks him to stop immediately, but Nicky's anger and ego take control. Without thinking, he places a massive bet of 1 lakh. Luian laughs and asks if he really has that much money. In response, Nicky throws a thick bundle of cash onto the table. Luian becomes even more excited. Nicky bets that the next pass will be intercepted and fail. This time, the pass is completed successfully. Nicky suffers an enormous loss amounting to millions of dollars. Now, he could not understand how to escape the trouble he had created for himself. Jazz was also shocked, but the game had now reached an intense level. Nicky said that he still had $1 million left. He suggested betting the entire amount to decide the winner once and for all. This time, the result would be decided by cards. Luian had been winning continuously, and his excitement grew out of control. He started looking at Nicky as if he were an ATM machine. Luian drew his card, which turned out to be a 5. Now, Nicky only needed a card higher than 5 to win. The odds were clearly in his favor. Nicky picked up his card and flipped it with confidence. However, his card turned out to be a 3. Seeing this, Jazz immediately collapsed onto the chair in shock. When Nicky had started the game, he had only planned to bet $4,000. By now, he had lost more than $1 million. After this humiliating defeat, Nicky had nothing left to say. He quietly held Jazz's hand and began to leave. He looked completely broken. Even then, Luian continued to mock him. He said this was the result of playing against a master gambler. Nicky suddenly stopped and placed another bet. He challenged Luian to pick any random player using binoculars. If Nicky could guess that player's jersey number correctly, he would win. Luian was confused by this strange challenge. He felt it required deep thinking. It seemed to him that Nicky was setting himself up for another loss. Luian also suspected that Nicky might be cheating. To remove this doubt, Nicky said that he would not guess the number himself. This time, Jazz would make the guess. Jazz looked at Nicky angrily, unable to understand what he was doing. She wondered what the chances were of guessing the correct jersey number among so many players. Saying this, she tried to leave. However, Luian's security guard stopped her, and a brief argument broke out. Jazz calmed herself and returned. Nicky told her to simply look around the field and say the number that felt familiar. Luian picked up the binoculars and selected a player. Jazz then took the binoculars and scanned the entire ground. Jersey numbers were everywhere, and she felt confused. As she struggled to decide, her eyes landed on a familiar face. She suddenly remembered Nicky's words about choosing a number that felt like her own. She noticed their friend Farhad wearing jersey number 55. At that moment, Jazz realized that everything was part of Nicky's plan. She confidently said the number 55. It turned out to be the correct answer. Luian was left completely stunned. Jazz also wondered how Nicky had known in advance that Luian would choose the same player. At that moment, none of that mattered. They had won the bet. They earned $1 million and recovered all the money they had lost. They left the stadium carrying 2 large bags filled with cash. Inside the car, Nicky revealed the truth to Jazz. He explained that everything had been carefully planned. They had been observing Luian for a long time. Luian was well known in high society for his dangerous addiction to gambling. He would jump at any bet placed in front of him. Nicky's team had planned everything in advance. The moment Luian stepped out of his hotel room, the number 55 was planted in his subconscious mind. The number 55 was written on the security guard's badge pin. The same number appeared on signboards along the road to the stadium. They not only showed him the number repeatedly, but also made him hear it. While traveling to the match, a song song was played in Luien's car. That song repeated hints of the number 55 again and again. The number appeared 124 times in the song. A sound resembling 55 kept playing, drawing Luien's mind toward that number. He was also shown a photo of Farhad, turning it into a visual memory. When Luien later looked through the binoculars, his mind naturally focused on the number 55. The moment Jazz spotted Farhad, she immediately said 55. Jazz had not been told anything beforehand. This was done so her expressions would remain completely natural during the game. Because of this, no one suspected anything. After hearing the full plan, Jazz was deeply impressed by Nikki. The story then shifts back a few days earlier. Just a few days before, Nikki was lying on a bed in a room. A man was pointing a gun directly at his head. Jazz, whom Nikki had met only a few days earlier, was sitting beside him. It was clear that someone had trapped Nikki. However, there was no fear on his face. He calmly said that he did not have a single penny. He told the man to shoot if he wanted to. The man with the gun observed his reaction. He immediately realized that Nikki was a seasoned player. He understood that Nikki was a professional con artist. His judgment was completely correct. Nikki was a master thief who specialized in small but clever thefts. He had also skillfully drawn Jazz into this situation. Until that moment, Jazz had not understood anything. After the armed man left, Nikki spoke to Jazz. He said that if you are gifted, you can live comfortably for your entire life. Nikki explained that this was their family business. His father and grandfather had all been con artists. For him, every move and every trick was part of the game. Without wasting time, Jazz took out some money. She said that she wanted to learn from him. Nikki did not delay either. As they were leaving, Nikki quietly stole one of Jazz's rings. She did not notice it at all. Before Jazz could realize what had happened, her watch was gone as well. When she checked her handbag for the watch, her wallet had already disappeared. After pulling off these tricks, Nikki explained that it was all about timing and sleight of hand. He said style was the most important part of the job. That day, Nikki said nothing more and simply walked away. A few months later, Jazz found him in the city of New Orleans. By then, Nikki had begun building a new team. Their meeting was actually a test. Nikki wanted to see whether Jazz was worthy of joining them. When Jazz agreed, Nikki sent her to a fair with one of his team members. Today was Jazz's first practical assignment. She began by asking people for directions while holding a map in her hand. During this distraction, her partner secretly stole a tourist's camera lens. Another teammate intentionally bumped into a man. At the same moment, Jazz slipped his wallet out smoothly. Jazz slowly began to gain confidence in her stealing style. Using chopsticks, she pulled a wallet from another woman's bag. Everything was so clean and precise that no one suspected a thing. Nikki was watching all of this from the top of a building. He instructed the team to leave Jazz on her own. Now it was her time to prove herself. Jazz started stealing expensive items one after another. With every successful theft, Nikki's concern slowly turned into respect. Her admiration for Jazz kept growing. Soon, Nikki assigned her a much bigger mission. This time, it involved advanced and high-tech fraud. Using special lenses, they could see other players' cards and easily defeat them. There was also a system for stealing credit cards. Once a card was stolen, it was secretly passed to a teammate. A device instantly copied the card's data. The card was then returned to the owner's pocket without notice. By the time anyone realized what had happened, their account was already empty. Another method involved a fake ATM machine. Whenever someone withdrew money, their PIN was automatically stored. Farhad would later remove the machine and collect all the data. All the stolen credit cards were sorted into different categories. Luxury items were purchased using those cards. In the end, the data was sold on the black market. One day, Jazz saw a beautiful necklace and tried it on. Nikki immediately told her to remove it. She firmly explained that everything had to be sold. Nothing was allowed to become personal. Jazz was witnessing this level of fraud for the first time. It felt like standing at the peak of a mountain. The next day, Jazz and Farhad were roaming around a wealthy area. Their task was to put on an act. Farhad suddenly collapsed to the ground. Jazz began screaming for help. She shouted, "Please, someone help us!" This scene created a powerful distraction. The rest of the team took advantage and stole valuables from the surrounding rich people. Afterward, the entire team escaped by hiding inside an ambulance. Everything was so perfectly planned that no one understood what had happened. That night, the team celebrated together. Nikki praised everyone for their work. In just 1 week, they had earned $1.2 million. The next day, the team prepared to separate. All documents were destroyed. Everyone was assured that their money would reach their bank accounts within a few days. However, the older members knew one thing. Nikki still had one final mission left. They handed her $1.2 million in cash. They also warned Jazz not to waste it on gambling. The following morning, Nikki took Jazz to the stadium's VIP lounge. She put on a dramatic performance in front of her. Nikki showed Jazz how $1 million could be earned in just a few minutes. By this time, Jazz had slowly started falling in love with Nikki. She believed that she was Nikki's girlfriend. That was why she thought Nikki was showing her everything. In reality, Nikki had included Jazz in the group from the very beginning only to deceive her. When everything was over, Nikki handed her $80 in cash. After that, she said goodbye and walked away. Jazz stood there staring at her. Tears filled her eyes and her heart was completely broken. On one side, she had genuinely fallen in love with Nikki. On the other side, she felt that $80 was far too little. Nikki had just made $1 million, but there was no place for emotions in Nikki's world. Jazz had finally seen her true nature. Almost 3 years later, Later, a race car pulls into a service station. Soon after, Nikki appears there as well. There is visible exhaustion in her eyes. It is clear that her money is about to run out. During lunch, Nikki meets Garia, the owner of a racing team. Garia's research team has developed a new algorithm called EXR. He wants to improve it to increase his chances of winning. For this reason, he hires Nikki. The plan is simple. Nikki pretends to be Garia's chief engineer. They stage a public fight between themselves. This is done to mislead rival teams. After that, Nikki sells a fake version of EXR to the competitors. Meanwhile, Garia's team secretly uses the real system. This guarantees their victory. According to the deal, Nikki will receive 1 million euros. Any money earned from selling the fake system will also belong to her. Nikki considers the job almost laughably easy. She believes she could pull off such a scam in her sleep. However, Garia's butler does not trust her at all. He openly threatens her. He says that if she makes a single mistake, he will shoot her in the chest. That evening, Nikki puts on a tuxedo and leaves for the party. The plan is to start a fight in the middle of the crowd. Suddenly, the plan collapses. Jazz enters the room wearing a red dress. She walks down the stairs and goes straight to hug Garia. Nikki's mind goes completely blank. She has not seen Jazz for 3 years. Now Jazz is standing with another man, and that man is Garia. Jazz approaches Nikki calmly. She says that she is no longer a con artist. She claims that whatever happened 3 years ago no longer matters. She also explains that Garia knows nothing about their past. She insists that it would be better if everything stayed hidden. Hearing this, Nikki becomes furious. She grabs a glass of vodka and drinks it in one go. Earlier, the fight was supposed to be an act. Now, Nikki's anger is completely real. She attacks Garia fiercely in front of everyone. The rival racing team enjoys the drama. Soon, security drags Nikki out of the party, but by then, she already has the rival team's business card in her hand. The next morning, Nikki met the owner of the McLaren racing team. She spoke directly and said that selling the EXR system would cost 3 million euros. The team owner had no shortage of money, so there was no need for negotiation. He immediately tested the system on the track. As soon as he saw the results, his face lit up with excitement. Nikki assured him that the full software would be installed within 48 hours. Meanwhile, Jazz met Farhad on the road. Farhad had been sent by Nikki. He explained that Nikki had no choice but to leave 3 years earlier. He also said that Nikki still loved Jazz. Farhad handed Jazz a small box. Inside was the same necklace Jazz had once admired. There was no way to know whether it was real or fake. However, that did not matter to Jazz. Seeing the necklace, Jazz's heart softened. She said she could not fully trust Nikki, yet something different was visible in her eyes. She still had feelings for her. Soon, the day of the deal arrived. Nikki handed over the EXR software to the McLaren team owner. In return, a muscular man gave her 3 million euros in cash, but Nikki never worked without taking risks. She secretly sold copies of the same software to every racing team. With every handshake, more euros were added to her fortune. She collected millions before the race even began. No one realized that every team was using the same system. That night, instead of running away, Nikki sent a message to Jazz. She said that if Jazz arrived on time, they could escape together. Nikki waited, but no one showed up. Just as she was about to leave and give up, Jazz arrived. By then, it was already too late. At that moment, the same powerful man who had delivered the 3 million euros appeared. He was actually Garia's man. He had discovered the truth that Nikki had sold the real software instead of a fake one. He no longer cared about Garia's 1 million euros. Wearing full protective gear, he deliberately crashed his car into Nikki's. A violent accident followed and both of them were captured. After restraining them, all the cash was placed in front of Garia. Garia was furious at Nikki's betrayal. He had invested 40 million euros in developing the program. Now everything was destroyed. The most shocking part was that Garia could not understand how Nikki had stolen the real software. When Nikki remained silent, Garia grabbed Jazz by the nose. Jazz's breathing stopped. Seeing this, Nikki completely broke down. She confessed everything. She admitted that she had used Jazz by awakening her old love. She had given Jazz a necklace containing a special chip. The moment Garia opened the software, the necklace captured his password and data. That was how Nikki stole the system. Hearing this truth, Jazz's heart shattered. Tears streamed down her face. Meanwhile, Garia and his men burst into laughter. They listened to the story, but they did not believe Nikki. Garia said that Jazz was never his girlfriend. He claimed she had only been with him for money. On the other hand, Jazz also confessed. She said her only goal was to steal Garia's expensive watch collection. Nikki was shocked to realize that Jazz had pretended to love Garia just to make her jealous. Now both of them were exposed. Garia wasted no time and asked the butcher how Nikki had stolen the software. As soon as Nikki began to speak, the butcher fired his gun. The bullet went straight into Nikki's chest. Garia's face turned pale with fear. He panicked and told the butcher that money could always be earned again. He said that if he was caught in a murder case, his life would be over. Garia immediately fired the butcher. He then ran away from the warehouse. Jazz was crying uncontrollably. The butcher stopped her and told her not to be afraid. He revealed the truth. He was actually Nikki's man. To be precise, he was her real father. He had deliberately fired the bullet beside the heart. He sealed the wound with tape. He drew blood using a needle. He stabilized the air pressure in her chest. Moments later, Nikki opened her eyes. She was still alive. The plan was risky and insane, but it worked. A huge pile of money was left behind. All three of them escaped together. Nikki was actually an orphan. She had been raised by by this man. He had taught her every skill of deception and theft. The rule was always to stay emotionless, but now Nikki had truly fallen in love with Jazz. In the end, the man left both of them on the roadside. He drove away with all the money. Nikki was left with nothing. While heading to the hospital, she noticed something in the car. Jazz was holding Garia's watch worth 200,000 euros. They looked at each other and smiled. With their tricks and sleight of hand, they would never starve anywhere in the world. If you enjoyed the video, like it and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.